Okay, we're live.
Did you start, Ali? You want to start admitting people at 11:45?
No, now.
You want to start admitting them now? Okay, cool. Good afternoon. Welcome to the court's first virtual swearing-in ceremony of 2022. Please keep your audio muted throughout the ceremony. If you wish to follow the speaker, you may want to set your view to speaker view. Mr. Julio Castillo, Clerk of the Court of Appeals, will offer opening remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. I will be administering the oath today, and when I administer the oath, I will use the word swear. If any of you object to using that word, you can substitute the word affirm in its place. Thank you, and I turn the mic over now to Mr. Dade. Thank you, Mr. Dade.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. The courtroom will now open the courtroom.
All persons having business before the Honorable Associate Judge now presiding over the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, draw near and give your attention. God save this United States and this honorable court. This honorable court is now in session. Please come to order.
Honorable Judge Howard will offer introductory remarks.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is J.P. Howard. I am an Associate Judge of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals. And on behalf of Chief Judge Blackburn Rigsby and all of my colleagues on the court, I am pleased to welcome you, the prospective new members of the bar, as well as your friends and families, to this virtual bar admission ceremony. I'm happy to be in court today for one of the few occasions where everyone will leave here as a prevailing party, and to be with you and those who love you as you take this step in your careers, whether this is your initial license or your next one. The Court of Appeals is a relatively new court, though our roots extend to the 1800s. We were created by Congress in our current form in 1970 to review appeals from the district's trial court, the Superior Court of the District of Columbia, as well as appeals from district administrative agencies. The court created the bar in 1972, and it's our duty to oversee its members, including to rule on motions for admissions of new members. I'm pleased to entertain such a motion today, made on your behalf by Ms. Ilea Welch, Staff Attorney for the Committee on Admissions. Ms. Welch.
Good afternoon and congratulations. I will read the motion. On behalf of the Committee on Admissions of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, I, Ilea Welch, Staff Attorney for the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, move the admission to the bar of this court where the applicants whose name appear on the attached list and who have satisfied the requirements for admission to the bar of this court. On behalf of the Committee on Admissions, I certify to this court that these applicants possess the necessary qualifications for admission to the bar. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. And thank you to the Committee on Admissions as a whole for the time and diligence the members and staff put into thoroughly reviewing your applications and certifying you. Based on a review of the record, I am pleased on behalf of the court to grant the motion to admit today's candidates as members of the District of Columbia Bar. I will now recognize Mr. Castillo, our clerk of the court, to administer the oath. Mr. Castillo.
Thank you, Judge Howard. Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that as a member of the bar of this court, I will demean myself uprightly and according to law, and that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America. You can now be seated, and I turn the mic over to Mr. Dade.
The Honorable Judge Howard will give judicial remarks.
Thank you. It's a tradition at these swearing-in ceremonies for the presiding judge to make remarks. I also bear in mind that I likely stand between you and lunch, an unenviable place to be even for a judge used to captive audiences. In consideration of that and any celebration you may have planned with family and friends after this ceremony, I will be brief. In speaking with our staff, I understand the majority of you are bar exam takers and some of you are waving in as well. Congratulations to you all, and to the exam takers. I hope you had the same experience that I did years ago, and that it was not as bad as you expected. In speaking with several attorneys about what they wanted to hear when they were sworn into the bar, it was my understanding that a little bit of history of the bar and some of the membership would be helpful. So it's not only my pleasure in welcoming you during the bar's 50th year, but I want to let you know that you're joining a special collective. The District of Columbia Bar is historic in its membership and reach. Despite covering one of the smallest geographic areas in our nation, we are among the top bars in membership and the spread of our members. You are now members of a bar of over 110,000 people that continues to grow this very day and just a few moments ago. DC bar members practice in all 50 states and over 80 countries across the world. Virtually anywhere you go in this nation and nearly half of the world, you will find fellow members of your bar. What you will also find in this bar is training, high quality materials and publications, and opportunities to connect with your fellow attorneys. We have no continuing legal education requirement in the district, yet thousands upon thousands of attorneys register every year for the CLE programs put on by the bar and its communities. That's no coincidence. I personally like our use of the term communities, which replaced the term section not too long ago and more aptly describes what you can find based on your interest in this bar. This bar excels in mentorship, connecting colleagues and training leaders. You will enter practice and have the broad resources of the bar available to you. Take advantage of it. I and my colleagues across the local and federal courts, administrative tribunals, and agencies look forward to seeing you and the good work you will do. The bar you've joined possesses not only size and breadth, but true depth as well. No reasonable list of historic figures of this bar would allow you to go home before dinner and would fit into these remarks. Certain names you will see from court buildings and bar programs such as H. Carl Moultrie, E. Barrett Prettyman, William Bryan, and John Payton. However, to note a few you may not have learned of yet. As of today, you are a member of the bar of Charlotte E. Ray, the first woman to gain admission to the District of Columbia Bar, the second woman in American history to gain bar admission, and the first Black woman to gain admission in America, who set a precedent relied on by others, including Alva B. Lockwood, a DC bar member and the first woman to be admitted to practice before the United States Supreme Court, having to force her way in by crafting and supporting federal legislation signed by President Hayes, and later supporting the admission of Reverend Samuel R. Lowry, a former slave who became the first Black attorney to argue before the Supreme Court. You are now a member of the bar of Charles A. Horsky, a large law firm partner and historic figure in many ways who argued the Korematsu case, participated in the Nuremberg war crime trials, and argued Griffin v. Illinois successfully at the Supreme Court. Horsky also worked locally to create affordable housing in the district, supported the creation of the metro system, drafted the first home rule bill for President Johnson, and led a review of the DC courts a decade after the establishment of home rule, ultimately co-founding the Council for Court Excellence. Members of your bar were present and leading as home rule was established for the district, including, among others, Walter Washington, our first elected mayor, who had served previously as the appointed mayor, and initial council members Arrington Dixon and David A. Clark, for whom the University of the District of Columbia's law school is now named. Your bar also has many homegrown attorneys of historic renown, such as Judge William Hasty, raised in the district, who became the first Black federal judge, serving as a U.S. district and circuit judge, in between serving as dean of Howard Law, and was ultimately considered by President Kennedy for appointment to the Supreme Court the decade before his student Thurgood Marshall would break that barrier. His older cousin, Charles Hamilton Houston, is no less impressive and someone you should definitely know. A native Washingtonian whose experiences while fighting in World War I compelled him to seek a legal education as a means to advocate, a young Houston became the dean who initially sculpted the legacy of Howard's law school, teaching civil rights figures who would go on to distinguish judicial service, including Thurgood Marshall, Spotswood Robinson, and Damon J. Keith, as well as an entire generation of attorneys who would make historic impacts in the district and across the nation. He was involved in guiding nearly every civil rights case to reach the Supreme Court over the 2 decades leading to Brown v. Board, earning Houston the title of the man who killed Jim Crow. We are a bar whose members have historically impacted our city, country, and world, and continue to today, no matter the practice setting that our members have gone into. Membership in this bar encompasses a legacy that is more than admission to practice. I hope you will take time to learn some of its history because you are its future. I believe that a certain Houston quote embodies the spirit and legacy of our bar's commitment to excellence in practice and service, and that is that a lawyer is either a social engineer or a parasite on society. As grand as the statement may sound, we are not all called to shatter historic barriers and fight high-profile battles, though you can find such struggles more easily and earlier in your career than you may think. Engineers tackle problems. The root of the word comes from a medieval Latin word meaning to contrive or devise, which filtered through Old French into Middle English and on to today. As an attorney, you have a unique skill set to navigate systems and devise strategies that can be brought to bear to address the problems of those around you, especially those who cannot afford representation. Even if an individual case or transaction does not impact the district or the nation, it can change the entire world for an individual, family, or an organization who needs it. You have an ethical duty to take on such work when you can. It is some of the most rewarding work you will do, and speaking from experience, mine and others, often what you will remember particularly well as you progress in your practice. In certain practice settings, it will give you an opportunity to hone skills and get experience earlier on than you otherwise would. And it is vital to our system, which functions at its best when parties are represented by diligent and dedicated counsel arguing competing narratives. I urge you to go to our Access to Justice Commission website and look at the staggering statistics on representation, most of which are from the pre-pandemic period and at this point are most likely understated. In some of the cases with our most vulnerable populations and people in the most vulnerable positions, housing, domestic violence, family, estate, probate, and administrative related matters, the numbers are stark. This is before you combine the added language and technological barriers that have only been enhanced by the pandemic. The courts have done tremendous work and continued to evolve, and legal service providers have expanded at historic rates, but the growth of the need still grows faster. Engineers maintain and improve systems as well. We need you. Equal justice under law. Those words etched on the Supreme Court are not only accomplished in interpretation of law by judges, but even more directly in providing access to justice through representation, which you can do from the very beginning of your career. There are many ways you can get involved in many top-class organizations here in the district and in the area surrounding it that'll support you with training to ensure you can do so with full confidence and capability. I hope that as you look for options, you also look for opportunity to volunteer with the courts as well, including in our Appellate Mediation Center, where it is possible to enter a limited appearance for the purpose of mediation with the informed consent of the client. Finally, let me give you some brief advice. Litigations, transactions, and policy work, as many of you that have already been in practice know already, don't come evenly weighted or on level playing fields. That's why it's your ethical duty to zealously represent, not to win no matter what. You're at a new starting point now, and no amount of prestige from what you have done before will defeat diligent, hard, smart work. Hone your skills and learn from everything, especially moments that feel like failure. Continuous learning is one of the blessings of this profession. In a field where your reputation is slowly built and can be quickly lost, civility and humility, confident humility, I'll say, are your allies. My father used to charge that you should aim to command respect, not demand it. And that starts with respecting everyone around you. He lived that. This is a collegial profession where you take adversarial positions, but you are not an adversary to your opposing counsel. Your ability to work with opposing counsel while maintaining your client's position, not changing yourself even when opposing counsel is difficult, will be to your client's benefit, yours, and any decision makers. Try to have sharp minds, not sharp elbows. Invest genuinely in people and never forget relationships are always an end and not just a means. Lastly, take time to reflect. You've joined an incredibly hardworking profession. It is easy to get caught up in practice to the exclusion of not only your life outside of work, but in consciously guiding your work. You can look up decades later, perhaps to a wonderful career, but still wondering where the time and where your individual agency went. Pursue your passion, reflect, proactively decide what you want to do, and do not ever say no to yourself. Let someone else do that. Congratulations to you and your families, those you were born into, and the family you have found in friendships and mentors. I hope that as they celebrate you, you will celebrate them, because none of us have ever managed any success completely on our own. I and my colleagues join them in looking forward to your future successes. Thank you and good luck as you start or continue in your careers.
This court is now adjourned.
Congratulations, everyone.